of both the OnePlus 7T and the OnePlus 7T Pro, and Steve Hemmerstoffer has now provided us with the full spec sheet of both models along with their release dates. So we'll start with the cheaper model, the OnePlus 7T. The OnePlus 7T is going to be coming with a 6.55-inch Fluid AMOLED display with a resolution of 2400 by 1080. It's going to be a 90Hz display with an optical in-display fingerprint scanner, and it will have HDR10+. It's going to keep the water drop style notch in the top center, but leakers say that it will be slightly smaller than the one found on its predecessor. It's going to be using a 16 megapixel camera with electronic image stabilization and an aperture of f2.0. On the rear of the device, we get a triple camera setup. We get a main 48 megapixel camera with both optical and electronic image stabilization and an aperture of f1.6. We also get a 12 megapixel telephoto with 2x zoom and an aperture of f2.2, and finally we've got a 16 megapixel 120 degree ultra wide with an aperture of f2.2. It's going to be powered by the latest Snapdragon 855 Plus and come with 6GB of RAM and a choice of 128 or 256 gigs internal storage. It's all going to be powered by a 3800 mAh battery with Warp Charge 30T. This is said to be 20% faster than the OnePlus 7 Pro. It will of course come with Android 10 in the form of Oxygen OS, and while they don't offer any official IP ratings, the phone should still have some water resistance. It's going to have a new macro mode for closer shots, nightscape mode, and a super slow-mo capable of recording 960 frames a second at 720p. Now for the more premium OnePlus 7T Pro. For the OnePlus 7T Pro, we get a slightly larger 6.55-inch Fluid AMOLED display with a resolution of 3100 by 1440, and this gives us 516 pixels per inch. It's a full-screen 90Hz curved display with an optical in-display fingerprint scanner and HDR10+. On the Pro model, we get a pop-out selfie camera that houses a 16 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f1.6 and electronic image stabilization. On the rear, we again get a triple camera setup. This time we get a 48 megapixel main sensor with both optical and electronic stabilization and an aperture of f1.6. We get an 8 megapixel telephoto with 3x zoom and an aperture of f2.4, and again we get the 120 degree 16 megapixel ultra wide with an aperture of f2.2. It's powered by the Snapdragon 855 Plus and comes with 8GB of RAM and 256 internal storage. For those who want 12GB of RAM, they will have to opt for the OnePlus 7T Pro McLaren Edition. It contains a 4085 mAh battery with Warp Charge 30T and comes with Android 10 in the form of Oxygen OS. So both phones are looking great spec-wise, and the OnePlus 7T Pro has enough improvements to make people choose it over the Standard. The Standard will however be better for people who prefer the flat displays. Many will be disappointed however that we still don't get wireless charging in either of the new models. When it comes to pricing, the OnePlus 7 Pro launched at $669 or £649 for the base model, so hopefully the OnePlus 7T Pro will launch around the same if not a little higher. It's expected to launch in India on the 26th of September with a global launch slightly afterwards. A new report has however emerged that says USA may not be getting the OnePlus 7T Pro. They'll only get the choice between the standard OnePlus 7T or the OnePlus 7T Pro McLaren Edition. Of course, if any more information comes to light, I'll be sharing it with you guys straight away, but as always, I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Who out there is waiting for the OnePlus 7T models, and which one are you going to choose? But thanks for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, smash the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.